now closed for recess after an explosive day on Capitol Hill. President Trump deciding not to sign a bipartisan housing affordability bill while also sparring with lawmakers over the war in Iran and spar with one particular senator. Boy, he did.
Billy Boy, Madeline Rivera joins us from Washington with the details. They weren't talking that colloquially in the room. There were a lot of curses, Maddie.
Yeah, there was a lot happening on Capitol Hill yesterday, guys, and some lawmakers were caught by surprise by the president's refusal to sign the housing bill. The bipartisan legislation included policies that the president himself has supported, with provisions that include building more housing and limiting Wall Street home buying. But the president says he's not moving forward with the bill until Congress passes the Save America Act. He also says there's another way to bring housing costs down.
It's all about the interest rate. Lower the interest rates, you can have all the housing you want. But you have to understand, I don't want to hurt people that own houses too. These people, for the first time in their lives, what you want to do is what good for everyone, get the interest rates down.
So the housing bill has stalled. The Senate is also leaving for July 4th recess without moving forward on the Iran war powers resolution. The measure failed 47-50, and it came after President Trump met with GOP senators on Capitol Hill Wednesday. Like you guys said, there was a blow-up between Senator Bill Cassidy and President Trump after Cassidy says he demanded transparency on the conflict. Cassidy then reversed course Wednesday evening, aligning with other GOP senators to vote on the resolution after voting yes with Democrats on a non-binding version just the day before. The president saying, wow, the Senate just changed its vote on Iran from 50 to 48 against to 50 to 47 for. Rand Paul and Bill Cassidy changed. The president going on to say this vote puts Iran on notice. And the Senate is now out until July 13th. Carly and Todd.
We've almost done it. We've made it to Thursday. And we have some good news for you. Such an uplifting show. We're always going to bring you uplifting information because, well, that's how you win. You win by having an optimistic chip on your shoulder and having something to fight for. Having children under a roof or grandchildren, a family, a vision for the future. You have to vision cast. It's critical. And the demoralization ops, like this is what this program is about. This is why they fight so hard to come after us. Like it's amazing what's happened in the last couple of months. They fight so hard to come after us because we are trying to keep together the greatest, most powerful, most monumental winning coalition in American history, certainly American modern history. And we're just getting started. What was built in 2024 was miraculous. We see it as a miracle, probably starting before, but certainly in the lightning strike that was Butler, Pennsylvania, when we watched the hand of God remove a bullet from the pathway of the head of the president. We've witnessed wonders and signs. And we shouldn't do what constantly happens if you read through the scriptures, which is we just forget the miracles that we all watched. You get downtrodden or distracted, demoralized. The same Israelites that witnessed the wonders of God in the liberation of their slavery in Egypt immediately built a golden idol to worship in the desert. And so let's not be that, right? Let's keep our eyes trained and our mission clear. And that is what we do on this program every single day, including Thursday, June 25th, 2026. That's today. Today, President Trump reveals one of the single greatest master strokes of the president. He still got it. Still got his fastball. I can't believe what they did yesterday. It's amazing. Using the Postmaster General in order to command an army to stop election fraud. It's a beautiful move, and Libs heads are exploding. Trump abruptly cancels the housing bill signing and demanding the Save America Act. Boy, my phone was blowing up. I'll tell you why. My phone was blowing up because at the St. Patrick's Day party, I was put in a corner by, let's just say, a bunch of influential people. And they wanted to know a mix of like, White House and lobbyists and people. And they wanted to know, my wife's Irish. And so we got an invitation to the St. Patrick's Day party. She's American, right? But of Irish heritage. And they want to know what was going to happen with the housing bill. And we've been advocating for affordable housing. It's something that I care about, but I care about the Save America Act more. And they put me in a corner and I said, what's going to happen is the Senate's going to get this slush fund bill where a bunch of libs are going to shove a bunch of bad policies into it. The president's going to take one look at it and he's going to say, okay, you want this bill signed? Pass the Save America Act. And I told him that. I said, the base is going to reject some Elizabeth Warren slush fund bill with a bunch of poison pill bad policies in it. And the president's going to come over the top, and the base, my audience, you, the core of MAGA, the people with America First tattooed across their chest or their knuckles, those people are going to say, well, why don't you give us the Save America Act first? And then you can have your little housing bill. And I predicted this, man, and my phone was blowing up yesterday. A bunch of people telling me that I was right and that this is exactly what's happening. And the president's doing the right thing here. The president's using leverage, as he always has, in order to get what he wants done. And so we're going to talk today with the people who desperately have been in the fight, in the trenches for this. Some of the last people in the trenches, like Senator Mike Lee. Senator Dan Sullivan from Alaska will also join the program today, along with Chairman James Comer. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Chef IQ, hold on, Klein. I'm going to send you a photo. Here's the photo of my dinner last night, okay? Here's a photo of my dinner last night. I try and grill every single night. I try and go out and this is what we ate last night. There you go. You had lamb chops for sale. You eat any lamb? It's good. You eat any lamb? There it is. That's my dinner. You got some potatoes, you got a salad, and you got a lamb chop. And that's a chunk of cheese. So this is what I grilled last night. There's the lamb chops. You get lamb chops for sale, baby. $7 a pound. So we ate lamb chops. They're very tasty. And they're very good for you. And I'm out on my grill once a night. Once it gets me out of the studio. I get like some sun in my eyes. I get outdoors. It like pushes me outdoors to get some fresh air. And Klein had I had lamb chops 2 nights ago, says ALX, and Klein had ground lamb, but he thinks it might also be kangaroo. I don't know. Chat, you can ask Klein what's up. What's going on with his kangaroo meat? I don't know. Anyway, I use Chef IQ. Dude, this thing has changed my life. And I mean it. I use the product and it's incredible. I have learned how to do ribs. Ribs are tough. Ribs are a timing thing. And I'm not a patient man. And so ribs take like 7 hours. And I insert the Chef IQ thermometer, which is a wireless thermometer, into the meat. It tells me exactly when my ribs are ready. It's changed everything. I did a big old roast. In fact, a leg of lamb. This is Christmas. It's like a Christmas feast. And these are tough because it's a big old leg, right? And you insert the wireless thermometer into the meat. It connects with your phone, and you can tell exactly what temperature the meat is, which is really the only way to tell whether you've done a good cook or not. And so I just cannot recommend it enough. They're incredible. They've changed my grilling. I used to only be able to grill like chicken and steak, and now I can do like these big and complicated meats on the smoker, on the grill. Oh, dude, it's so awesome. Anyway, for their 4th of July sale, you can save 40% with my code Benny. Chef IQ, limited edition. Stars and Stripes designs. Well, wait a second. I don't have those. I want some of those. Celebrate America's 250 with a limited edition Stars and Stripes design. I'm not sure if we have any photos of them, but it is a perfect way. It also teaches you how to grill, smoke, roast. Anyway, you can watch the fireworks while just like having the thermometers right on your phone showing you exactly what's up. Anyway, if you haven't, oh, there they are. Hey, great. Anyway, it's amazing. It's like the best way to grill. Go to chefiq.com, use promo code Benny, get 40% off. 40%. chefiq.com, promo code Benny. Great gift. I know Father's Day was a few days ago, but great gift for dads out there. Perfect grill, perfect, ready to go. Okay, here we go. Talk about a perfect grilling. Let's go to the perfect grilling of yesterday in the left-wing media. Here you go. Don't you love this? Look at this. Look at this headline. Okay. Hey, ALX, I'm feeling nostalgic this morning. ALX, I'm feeling nostalgic. How many years were we under threat that the entire show would be canceled, taken off air, and maybe you and I would go to prison for saying that there was a stolen election? That there were votes that were fake? How many years? Like ALX, we had a Newsmax show. Like we weren't able to say it on Newsmax because you get sued. You get sued $700 billion, right? Everyone's sued. Dominion dropped their lawsuit, by the way, against Mike Lindell. Isn't that interesting? Gets sued. ALX saying like 4 years. Yeah, about 4 years. So we've been doing this. We've been doing this for like decades now. But we've been doing this for a long time. For 4 years of this program, and it's not like it stopped us from saying it. We said it. I don't know how we survived, ALX. Maybe that's just like another miracle that we witnessed. I don't know how we survived because we were constantly saying the election was stolen. The election was stolen, 2020. But you had the sword of Damocles over your head. You were like taking your entire show, your entire channel. You were like risking everything if you were to say these kind of things for years because boom, they'd nuke you right off the internet. Oh, you questioned an election. You questioned an election? You questioned an election, huh? Well, here's NBC News questioning an election. Look at this, ALX. Look at this. Here's NBC News saying the thing that would have gotten us kicked off the internet just a few years ago. Trump's DOJ struggles to show evidence of widespread voter fraud. Just little spread is what they got. They got this a teeny spread voter fraud, not the widespread. It's widespread. You pay extra for that. It's the teeny spread voter fraud. It's just the hundreds of documented cases on camera of voter fraud that we have from across the country. Just the small ones. Just allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to just go grab one quick thing. It's something I sent this morning that I just can't believe. Look at some of these findings. Look at this. Significant findings from the Dominion documents for the stolen 2020 election. Ballots exceeded voters in 3 states. Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia all had more votes than voters. And these are including voter rolls with like people that are 200 years old, people that have died. So this is your stolen election. This is just one of maybe thousands, tens of thousands of data points that are constantly being revealed to show what a rigged election it was. Of course, here the Heritage Election Fraud Map shows you that there's election fraud felony cases in every state in America. Not a single state is impervious. So don't believe the lies. We've proven this once and for all. It did take us, like having to go back into the archives to go listen to Joe Biden. It's tough work, but somebody's got to do it. Just a reminder that Joe Biden told us exactly what they were doing. He told us. He explained. And if there's if there's ever a time that you should have listened to Joe Biden, it's when he's talking about creating the greatest voter fraud operation in human history. Right here. He did it live on camera.
We have put together, and you guys did it for our administration, the President Obama's administration before this. We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
Okay.
Never go for retard.
Was it really that easy? Did you just have to pay attention to see what they were doing? And time again, they showed you exactly who they were. Look at this. Social Security, President Trump brings out a list and reads off that there are people that are 360 years old. So there's people that are 100 years older than our nation that are receiving Social Security right now. One person is 360 years old that's getting a Social Security check. You know, these people have Social Security numbers, which means they get ballots. They get shipped ballots. You have a Social Security number, you get the ballot. There are thousands of people that are over 200 years old getting Social Security right now in America. That means they're also getting ballots mailed to them. This is not something that's sustainable. Yeah. This is my favorite story. Maybe it's like one of a massive constellation of stories of stolen elections. But this one's my favorite, along with the disenfranchised black lady. So let's hit both of them. This is my favorite. Here we go. This scumbag and his wife. Look at this dirtbag. It's absolute dirtbag. And his wife. Here we go. This is the president of the Paterson, New Jersey City Council. What'd they find him doing? Him and his refrigerator wife, they caught him going door to door, plucking mail-in ballots out of the mailboxes, opening the ballots, you can see here, and then filling out the ballots for himself, and then turning in the ballots. It's egregious. It's on camera. And it makes it, that's how easy voter fraud is in this country. It's like not even sophisticated. This is, again, why NBC News has to say widespread voter fraud. Oh, is this widespread? They were just going door to door, plucking up ballots. This is a great example. Here's CNN.
Ballot drop box in Cuyahoga County.
CNN's doing a live shot in 2020 of a drop box, and they catch voter fraud live on air.
In Cuyahoga County, Ohio. You can see this woman right here casting her vote. Did you vote for Reagan or Jimmy Carter? Carter. Carter, okay. We don't want to get too...
So you have Shaquanda here with a garbage bag full of mail-in ballots. Now, in Ohio, we checked the law. It's illegal to handle somebody else's ballot. What project did she come from? Who's paying her? What Soros entity is paying her to go just garbage bag the ballots? And where did she get those ballots exactly? Well, we have the ring camera footage.
The ring camera video appearing to show a woman taking out 3 ballots from a Lawrence man's mailbox.
Oh, okay. What happened there? So this is in Lawrence, Massachusetts. And this lady who is the poster child, right, for what libs claim to care about. You have this black woman, single mother, working class, rough and tumble Lawrence, Massachusetts. No doubt she works in some mailroom somewhere or something like that. Who knows? But she is the disaffected black woman who has suffered under institutional racism. All of the narratives that have been strung up over the last couple of years. She is the victim. She is the one that we must protect in society. She's the person who's been disenfranchised, right? Funny how there are no marches for this lady when she says, I had my ballot stolen. Somebody voted for me. Then I showed up to vote and they said, you already cast your ballot. They forged my signature and nobody cares.
Who's still waiting for elections officials to decide whether her in-person vote will count or the mail-in, which she says has her signature forged.
How come it's not going to be counted if I'm voting right in front of you and I'm telling you that that vote that you have there is not mine?
State elections officials.
Did anybody march for her? Any statues of her yet? You want to talk about an actual disenfranchised black woman? There she is. And what is she disenfranchised by? The supermajority Democrat state of Massachusetts and their permanent mail-in ballot rigged elections operation. Why do every single one of these East Coast states have permanent mail-in ballots? That's why Kamala wins them. That's why there's no Republicans elected. So this is the problem. This and voter ID. These are the problems. I don't know how many more of these do we want to do? We don't have enough time. We don't have enough time. We don't have enough time. Just one more. This is so great. For whatever reason, says MSNBC, late mail-in votes in key races tend to pull for Democrats. Yeah. All right. You either laugh or cry at these situations. Okay. I wonder why. Jeez. Abu Massa in Hamtramck, Michigan, the only Muslim-majority, Muslim-run town in America, caught stuffing ballots. Literal giant bags of ballots into the drop box. Not once, not twice, 3 times. He's under federal investigation now. Michigan City Councilman caught on camera stuffing election ballots in the drop. You know how you get rid of this? You know how you stop this? Stop mailing everyone a ballot. 2 city council members charged with election fraud. Oh, wow. Anyway, Trump signed an executive order. Something genius happened yesterday that just like blew me away. Obviously, everybody remembers Wanda the Stuffer. You remember this lady? She also caught on camera, literally just with garbage bags of ballots. 5 charged with election crimes stemming from 2023 Bridgeport primary ballot fraud, where they just picked up mail-in ballots and just stuffed. You remember this? Of course, it's famous. Garbage bag full of ballots. Anyway, Trump put an end to it. How do you stop it? How do you stop? You got to stop the flow of drugs. How do you stop the drug trade? You got to stop the flow of drugs. How do you stop, how do you stop gangland gun crime? Well, you arrest people who have unlicensed firearms, right? You stop the flow, okay? And this is how you stop. The ballots are the weapon here. So stop the flow of ballots. Postal Service is going to restrict mail-in voting under Trump protocol. He's seizing control of the administration. The Postmaster General said that he's not going to deliver mail-in ballots to states that don't have a list of eligible voters in line with proposed rules by President Trump. This is genius. Postmaster General David Steimer said that Democrats' concerns dismissed him. He says that if these blue states that are refusing to hand over their voter lists, their eligible voter lists, so that Donald Trump, who's going to win, by the way, on appeal, Sprinkle Sparkle, is not going to, she's not going to be able to overrule the president in 245 years of the federal government being able to confirm who is a citizen and who isn't in our country. This is a genius masterstroke. Without the U.S. Postal Service, you can't get vote by mail. And the U.S. Postal Service, Postmaster General, saying, well, wait a second, I'm not going to deliver a bunch of ballots to a bunch of criminals, to criminal aliens who aren't legally registered to vote. They're not American citizens. That's a felony. That'd be using the post office for a felony. That's mail fraud. If you send someone like a death threat via the U.S. Postal Service, that's an extra charge because you're using the U.S. Postal Service to commit a crime in the continuance of a crime. And so this is the Postmaster General saying, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to commit a crime using the post office. And an illegal alien voting is committing multiple federal felonies. And it's genius. It's genius. Here he is saying it. And then we'll rock and roll. Okay, here we go. Here's the postmaster from yesterday.
So yes or no, if a state refuses to turn their absentee voter list over to the federal government, will the Postal Service still mail their ballots under this proposal route?
Under our proposed regulation, no. We would tell the state that we need the manifest in order to, look, what we're asking for.
That's the answer. You'd tell no. So the proposed rule basically coerces states to conform to these new requirements and hand over their absentee voter rolls or face the consequences of not being able to vote by mail. Some states, that's all they do. Oregon is completely vote by mail. If they say no, we control the list. The states control the list. We're not going to give it.
Oregon has followed Kit 600 since the day they started voting by mail.
This is a different issue. This will be a lot different issue. You're telling these states either give the federal government this information, trust the federal government, trust the Trump administration. We'll take good care of these. And if you don't do it, you can't mail absentee ballots. You're going to make a decision that people cannot vote by mail. That's unacceptable.
Well,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
all that does, Senator, is make sure that we match the ballots that a state believes they're sending out to what actually gets sent out, right? And so,
yeah, we're not going to use the postal service for the continuance of the crime, which is illegal voting. It's a genius move. It's so smart. What would also be smart is passing the Save America Act. Joining us now from the great state of Alaska is Senator Dan Sullivan. There was a big brouhaha in the Senate yesterday with Donald Trump and the Save America Act, and some other rumblings out of Alaska, right? Lisa Murkowski, she won't vote for it. So maybe Senator Sullivan will have some insight on all of this and the genius plan to secure our election. Let's go. Senator, thank you so much for being on the program. How are you this morning?
Hey, Benny, great to be on the show. Thanks very much.
All right.
Doing great.
Are you joining me from Alaska or from D.C.? I can't remember if the Senate's on vacation or not.
You know, we were out voting. We were up voting late last night. I'm getting on a plane in a couple hours heading home. So I'll be home for the next 10 days. It's by the way, you got to get up to Alaska. People love your show, and we'd love to have you up there.
I would love nothing more. I've heard that there's one person in Alaska that doesn't like our show. I've heard great reports of this, and that's Lisa Murkowski, that she really doesn't like the show, but everybody else in Alaska loves it, and so we're thankful for that.
Come on up. You would be welcome.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not exactly close, but we were in Wyoming and Montana, and man, that just is, gosh, it's gorgeous.
If you think those places are beautiful, you got to get up to Alaska.
I'd love nothing more. Let's find a way to do that. Senator, everybody's wondering about how the meeting went yesterday with the president.
Yeah.
Perhaps you could recap it for us.
Well, look, I think the president came in very frustrated by the vote on Iran that happened as his team was negotiating with the Iranians, and that vote passed 2 days ago. That was another Tim Kaine War Powers resolution. You know, I've voted against all of those. And he was essentially saying, look, that really undercut our negotiators. As a matter of fact, the Iranians used the vote to kind of halt the negotiations. One good outcome, though, of the meeting was that the president made a good case saying you can't undercut our negotiators. And so last night we had a vote that we brought to the floor and changed that, where we voted against the Tim Kaine resolution. We did that last night late. So I think that was actually a good outcome. And the president, I thought, made a good case. Said, hey, look, why would you vote against this when we're trying to have a negotiation with Iran? And Iran used that negative vote against the Trump administration negotiators. So that was rectified last night. And I think that was a positive outcome of the meeting.
So the president was also there, I think, to talk about the Save America Act and then the housing bill and sort of to leverage one against the other. Now you have colleagues saying that you should attach it to the FISA bill and so on. I mean, maybe you could explain to me. I've never been to Alaska. I truly would love to go.
You got to come.
But maybe you could explain to me Lisa Murkowski's stubbornness on supporting the Save America Act. I don't want you to.
I'll let my colleague Senator Murkowski speak for herself. I've been not only a co-sponsor of the Save America Act this Congress, but last Congress. It's common sense voter ID, showing that you're born in America. But look, the broader issue, particularly right now, Benny, in my state, and your previous program was showing it, the Democrats will do anything to gain power, including using dirty tricks in elections. It's not just that they're all against the Save America Act, right, which makes no sense. But in my current Senate race, what's happening, is just a new candidates in it to rig the election. I don't know if you're tracking it, but it's a big deal.
Please.
I'm up for re-election in November. Schumer has said his pathway to the majority is flipping the Alaska seat to the Democrats. and in Alaska. And so this is going to be a critical race. And my main opponent is a former Democrat congresswoman, a liberal Democrat congresswoman named Mary Peltola. She was fired in 2024 by the Alaskan people in an election because she was a do-nothing congresswoman, 2 terms in the Congress, never got one bill signed into law. And so at the last minute, the Democrats, what'd they do? They resorted to dirty tricks. They recruited a liberal progressive with a guy named Daniel J. Sullivan to get on the ballot. And he tried to get on the ballot as a Republican. He's never been a Republican. And the whole point is that he's trying to get on the ballot to have people throw away their votes thinking they're voting for me. Now, what's more evidence of that? When the guy launches his campaign, he puts out a campaign logo that's almost identical to mine. That's mine on the top.
Goodness.
That's his here. And then when he tried to register to vote, he not vote, but to be on the ballot, he went to our division election saying, I want my middle name S. Well, that's my middle name. His middle name is P. The division election said, you can't have Senator Sullivan's middle name. So the guy's trying to steal campaign logos, steal my middle initial, claim he's a Republican when he's a far left progressive. Why is he doing this? He's trying to confuse voters. That's the main reason he is trying to get on the ballot. He's in it to, not to win it, but he's in it to rig it for my Democrat opponent. How do we know that? Because the supporters who are working with my Democrat opponent are helping this guy. So, Benny, you can't make this stuff
dirty.
Our lieutenant governor and our division of elections director booted this guy off the ballot. They said, hey, you can run for office, but not if your main purpose is to confuse Alaskan voters and rig the election for another Democrat. Right? And this guy is actually donated to my Democrat opponent. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It's almost comical, but the Democrats, using all their power and money, are suing to get this sham candidate back on the ballot to try to trick Alaskans. Look, this is an annoyance for me, but I will tell you this. This treats my fellow Alaskans with utter contempt, right? That this guy is going to try and get on the ballot as the primary purpose to confuse Alaskan voters. That's his goal, to rig it for the Democrats so Schumer can be the majority leader. So this has national consequences. It's showing the Democrats they can't beat me on my record. You know, my record compared to my Democrat opponents, you know, I've gotten so much done for the state. She got 0 done. And the vision, right? Republicans, whether it's President Trump, our Republican majority in the Senate or in the House, we want to unleash Alaska's economy. We want to grow our economy through resource development, building up our military. Democrats, whenever they get in the power, one of the far left tenets of the Democratic Party is to go to Alaska and crush it, kill thousands of jobs, shut down our resource economy. So on all those things, I will win. But now they're like, I guess we got to resort to cheating to beat Senator Dan Sullivan. So we're going to fight it. The lieutenant governor, our division of elections director, did the right thing. But they're right now suing to force this sham candidate on the ballot to confuse Alaskans, rig the election. We're fighting it, but we got big court drama today over this in Alaska.
Really? Okay, so it's dirty, dirty. I've been following the ranked choice voting in Alaska. What a scam against Republicans. What a scam. This is what they did. This is what they did in order to, rig elections in California. This is how they rig elections directly on the ballot, correct?
100%. And here's the thing. Ranked choice voting allows this kind of manipulation. Remember, Benny, if this guy were running in a Republican primary against me and we all knew that he was a sham candidate who's a far left progressive, donates to Act Blue, donates to my opponent, Peltola, the Democrat, he would be crushed in
You'd destroy him.
Republican I'd crush him, right? But what they're doing, this ranked choice voting system that was hoisted on Alaskans by lower 48 liberals, Republicans didn't want this at all. It just confuses the people. By the way, it's driven down voter turnout in Alaska because so many people are confused by it. But what this system now does is it allows for this kind of manipulation and cheating. Think about it. At the very last minute, this guy gets recruited. He's a far left progressive, right? He's donated to every Democrat, socialist, Act Blue, my liberal opponent, never donated to a Republican. The Republican Party in Alaska said, this guy's not a Republican. He's never been associated with us. At the last minute, literally, day before the filing deadline, he files as a Republican. Why? Because he wants his name on the ballot with an R next to it, because Alaskans know that the Senator Sullivan is the Republican, to confuse Alaskans. That's just the sole purpose here, and rig the election in favor of the Democrat who he's working with. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. So I'm hoping our courts see through this sham candidate, because like I said, this election, my election, is probably going to determine who is in control of the United States Senate. Chuck Schumer? Oh my God, that would be horrible for Alaska. Schumer is the most anti-Alaska U.S. senator in history. But look, it would be horrible for America. Our election right now, we are the firewall for freedom in America. The Senate election in Alaska, Schumer has said his pathway to the majority is flipping my seat. It's not my seat, it's the Alaskan people's seat. But that's why they're dumping millions of dollars. But they can't beat me on my record. They can't beat me on my vision for America, for Alaska. So what do they got to do, Benny? What they do everywhere, you just showed it. They got to cheat, and we got to beat them.
So give in conclusion here, give the audience and the people a good vision for what's going to happen when we send Senator Sullivan back to the Senate, and what are we going to be fighting for in a reformed majority that doesn't have like, the people who've been a bit of a thorn, like a Cassidy and a Cornyn and, McConnell, like this, they've been obviously agitating against the president. When we get people in those seats and when we have a functional majority, what are Republicans going to do?
Well, look, I mean, one of the things that we're doing in Alaska, and the president, we talked about it yesterday in the lunch, is just doing an incredible job for my state, unleashing American energy. Right. As you know, the Democrats want to shut down every element of one of our nation's great strengths: oil, gas, critical minerals. My state has more of that than any place almost on the planet Earth. And when Democrats get in power, what do? They come to Alaska to crush us. Joe Biden, Benny, during his 4 years in office, he issued 70 executive orders in action, 70, that were exclusively and singularly focused on shutting down Alaska, just to crush us. Schumer was the same way. So President Trump and Republicans in the House and Senate, we want to unleash American energy, unleash our natural resources. This creates thousands of good-paying jobs in my state. That's a huge difference between where Democrats at the national level and Republicans are. We want to build up our military, where the president has done a great job in doing that, making sure we're a lethal force, ripping out all the DEI garbage that the Biden administration put in to the military. You know, I just retired out of the Marine Corps just 2 years ago after 30 years in the Marines on active duty and reserves. We got a much more strengthened military. You've seen the recruiting numbers. They're off the charts, right? Under this administration and Republicans in the Congress. Remember, during Biden, nobody wanted to join the military, right? We had the worst recruiting crisis that we've ever had. And then to your point, we got to continue to secure the border and secure elections. So we got a lot of work to do. But I will tell you this, if Schumer becomes Senate Majority Leader, you know, my state is going to be screwed. But the country is. This guy is driven by the far left. And you're seeing what's coming with the Democrat Party after those New York elections. They are turning not just far left, they're turning communist. Yes. And Schumer is a creature of the far left, and that'll be an unmitigated disaster for the country. So again, we're the firewall for freedom. Dan Sullivan for Alaska.com if you're interested in supporting us. But we're going to try and stop the cheating in Alaska first, Benny. But this is big stuff, high drama, and it just shows the Democrats will do anything to try to gain power, including cheating in elections.
What an absolute mess, Alaska. Pristine and beautiful. And I can't wait to see it myself. I do have a parting question for you, which would be, you know, if you're in Alaska, you're very close to you're kind of close to Alberta, a lot closer than I am. And if Alberta goes independent, I mean, they may want to just, hang out with Alaska. They may want to form maybe like a super state, which would be cool, which I think would be neat. Right.
Well,
That's fun. America's about fun. And I think that'd be fun. And so would you be also the senator from Alberta?
Well, look, the one thing I always say, and my Texas colleagues don't necessarily like it, but, we have a saying in Alaska that if you split Alaska in half, Texas would be the third largest state in the country, right? Cornyn and Cruz don't like that, but it's true, right? So, with Alberta, I think everybody would be really intimidated because we would be absolutely giant and massive. But right now, look, Alaska, in terms of energy, in terms of our military, we are, in terms of missile defense, all the stuff the president's doing on Golden Dome and missile defense, almost all of that is based in the great state of Alaska. So we are a huge asset to our whole country in terms of many of these things. But I'll tell you this, we got to make sure that we win this Senate seat. We're the firewall for freedom. We got to keep Chuck Schumer in the minority for sure.
So wait, for or against Alberta independence? Real fast, yes or no?
I'll let the Albertans make that call, but heck, I'd love another state. just to make sure it's not bigger than Alaska.
That's right. You hear that, Canada? We have a lot of viewers in Canada. It's like crazy. So yeah, we're here with you. Let's do it. Let's make the land bridge. Come on, Alberta, you can start make the land bridge. I want to be able to drive. To Alaska and never leave America. So let's work on that.
There you go.
Thank you, Senator.
We got to get you up there, Benny. All right. Thanks.
All right. We'll see you. Yep. All right. See you salmon fishing. Ladies and gentlemen, Chairman James Comer is locked in and ready to go. Let's go ahead and stay on time here and bring the chairman onto the program. You know him well. He's got some breaking news out just this morning. Looking forward to talking about that. Chairman James Comer. Chairman, my team is telling me that you are once again out causing trouble for Libs. Now let's go ahead and look here. House probes IRS failure to nab tax dodgers and federal workforce, and billions on the line. Federal employees owe billions of dollars in tax. Hold on, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, wouldn't they put you or I in prison in a New York minute if we missed a decimal place on our taxes?
Absolutely. And that's what Joe Biden's whole rationale was behind doubling the size of the IRS. There were a lot of tax cheats that were getting away with not paying taxes because the IRS didn't have enough staff. What we've stumbled upon is there are a ton of federal employees who are not paying federal taxes.
Okay. It seems like those should be the first ones that they catch because you work down the hall from me, right? But what's going on there? Are they not auditing or not looking into themselves? Is this like the problem with the federal government? We're like paying these guys to find the criminals and they're the criminals?
This is a huge problem. And it takes a lot to surprise me, Benny. This has shocked me. And I'm going to rattle off 4 statistics about the severity of this problem. There are over 571,000 current and retired federal employees who owe $6.3 billion with a B, $billion in unpaid taxes. Tax debt among federal workers has surged 32% since 2021, so it's only getting worse. The number of delinquent federal employees has jumped 43% in just 3 years. Nearly 50,000 federal employees, now listen to this, nearly 50,000 federal employees failed to file tax returns for 2 or more years. And lastly, almost 14,000 federal employees making over $100,000 a year from our tax dollars, 100% of their salaries from tax dollars. Almost 14,000 federal employees making over $100,000 a year didn't file taxes for multiple years. That's how bad the problem is with tax cheats in the federal workforce.
And we were upset that they weren't going after Hunter Biden. Like, it turns out they were all criminals.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot. I mean, not every federal employee is bad. Most federal employees pay the taxes, but a heck of a lot haven't been, and they've been getting away with it for years. And my question is, where has the IRS been on going after federal employees? I mean, this is the easiest thing to audit. You get a W-2 from the federal government.
Of course.
Okay. I mean, where, and you're not even filing tax returns? I mean, that's easy. It's one thing to do an audit, and it takes a little time to do an audit, and hopefully we'll incorporate AI technology and not have to have as many federal employees in the future at the IRS doing audits. But if you don't even file taxes and you get a W-2 from the federal government as a federal employee, that shouldn't take long to raise a red flag with the IRS. But for whatever reason, this has been going on for several years, and it's only getting worse because I believe the word's spreading among federal employees. Hey, they're not going to audit us. We don't even have to pay taxes.
Goodness. I mean, it's already a scam. You walk through HUD, you walk through these federal agencies, and you realize it's just like adult daycare and it's like welfare for the single most unsuccessful and uncreative parts of society. I mean, it's like really embarrassing, and they're impossible to fire. I think the Trump administration has done excellent work in reducing the federal workforce. Maybe the first time in my life that we've seen sort of like a hockey stick downward, right, of employees. But there's a lot more work that needs to be done. Okay, so the federal government overstepping its reach and in a way that like is offensive to all of us. So you can audit us, you audit us. Most of your audits are wrong. You come after American citizens. You won't go after federal employees. Judge Sparkle has told us that it's illegal for the federal government to check Social Security numbers against the voter rolls. Is that the case? Because it seems like the federal government is constantly spying on me, my Social Security number, my spending, everything I say in my phone. It seems like the federal government doesn't have any limitations, actually, given FISA, the new FISA that you guys renewed, on spying on us ever. But somehow, like, checking the voter rolls is a bridge too far. What is that?
Well, there are always unintended consequences for passing legislation. It doesn't matter how conservative the guy is, how smart the conservative bill sponsor. It can be a Ted Cruz, I think, a very smart guy and very conservative and good guy. There's always going to be unintended consequences, or there's going to be some government employee that interprets the bill in a way that was never meant to be interpreted by the sponsor of the bill or by the majority of Congress who supported the bill. That happens a lot. So I fear there have been some privacy laws passed that might prevent that, but we need to fix that because there's a crisis here. And I fear, Benny, that the whole Congress is fixing to get shut down over the lack of action in the Senate on the Save America Act. And for the life of me, I gave a floor speech yesterday. It's on my Twitter account, Representative James Comer. This is of the utmost importance. I mean, you have to show an ID to get into the new Obama presidential library. I have to show an ID anywhere between 3 and 10 times a day. And I'm a fairly well-known member of Congress. But for whatever reason, the Democrats don't want to show an ID. And that's because they're trying to cheat. They're trying to vote people who are not legal residents of the United States. There's no other way to say it. There's no way to tiptoe around it. That's what the objective of the Democrat Party is. Benny, we've had success in shutting down these NGOs that were funneling money to Act Blue. The Act Blue donations have fallen way off over the work of the House Oversight Committee, House Judiciary Committee, and House Administration Committee on Act Blue. There is a movement in this Congress to try to get free and fair elections, but there's an obstacle in the Senate from doing the common sense thing that 85% of Americans agree with. You've got to present a valid voter ID to vote. So we're trying to do everything in our ability to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse. I can't say enough great things about Vice President Vance and his fraud task force. I can't say enough good things about Todd Blanche now leading the Department of Justice. We're seeing people go to jail. We're seeing accountability. But with this story that you and I are talking about, we find something new every day. Who would have thought that over 500,000 current and retired federal employees owe over $6 billion in unpaid taxes. I mean, it's a never-ending discovery here that there's massive amounts of waste, fraud, and abuse. And then with respect to the Save America Act and the fact that it shut down the whole Congress because we're frustrated in the House that the Senate won't vote on it. There's a lack of confidence in our elections as well.
We have the floor speech here. You can check it out on the chairman's X account. And you make a great point. The senator from Kentucky is the man who's blocking all of this. And Mitch McConnell's influence in the Senate is what is poisoning the well, according to our sources. Mike Lee's going to come on and talk about it in just a minute.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on with that guy? Like, what is it exactly? Is it just like a...
Yeah. I've spoken with people around Senator McConnell. Some of his staff grew up in my congressional district, and we've had this conversation many times. And McConnell's rationale for opposing this, and I don't agree with it, so don't anybody yell at me. His rationale is the federal government should stay out of states' election laws. And here's the problem with that. We have states that are, in my opinion, cheating in elections by allowing non-citizens to vote. And because they have a louder voice, you've got states like Minnesota that have allowed a lot of fraud. There are consequences to allowing these illegals to vote. If New York is one of those states, they're turning socialist. That's not a good thing to spread around America. Right now, socialism's just in a few of the big cities. Guess what? They're all sanctuary cities. And in states that we believe there's large populations of illegals voting, in Minnesota, in California. Oh, guess what? That's where all the fraud in the welfare programs is being discovered. So there are consequences, and I believe in states' rights with all my heart. I don't disagree with McConnell on that, but here's the problem. We've got states that are taking advantage of a loophole, and every now and then the federal government has to right a wrong. Sure. And there are states that are in the wrong, and we've got the ability. We passed the bill in the House to right a simple wrong. Require a valid driver's license to vote, to prove you're a U.S. citizen. That's all. That's all we want. And yet the Senate won't pass it.
It's incredibly frustrating. So you believe the House is going to get shut down over this?
I fear it will be shut down because this is a line in the sand.
Yes.
I mean, this is a line in the sand.
I have people from these various, let's just call them interest groups in DC, that were yapping to me about the housing bill. And we've been doing a lot of work on housing for young people. Mm-hmm. And I told them off months ago. I said, if the Senate doesn't pass the Save America Act, then don't expect this to pass. Trump's going to use it as leverage. And if you can't, if Democrats can't get it, you should be using all of your incredible power from your huge lobby to push senators to pass the Save America Act, because nothing else is going to matter to the base. And the base is going to be furious if you give them some Elizabeth Warren housing bill and we can't pass the Save America Act.
Right.
And boy, howdy, were they calling me yesterday. Oh, you son of a bitch, you are so right. How do we fix this? How do we fix this? Well, I mean, it's just like common sense, man. Mm-hmm. So I guess I don't know. How is the House planning on fixing it? Anything?
Well, right now there's a line in the sand, and there's nothing going to happen until the Senate moves on the Save America Act. I'm not saying I endorse that strategy, Benny, but that's where we are at this particular moment in time.
It's the way that it goes. Okay, so you've seen some, you've had some major frustrations with the DOJ and with criminal referrals, and you said that finally that logjam is getting loosed a little bit, and you're really happy about that. What about Dr. Fauci? A lot of news about Fauci. Boy, what a heater that was thrown his direction from Tulsi Gabbard. He's been a thorn in your paw. He's now been subpoenaed by Rand Paul. What's going to happen there?
Well, I think Rand's going to get him in and ask him questions about the information that Tulsi released, because he lied to the House Oversight Committee. We had a select committee, a COVID select committee that was led by Dr. Brad Winstrup from Ohio. He's a retired member now, but we did a criminal referral because he lied to Congress. He lied about destroying emails. He lied about telling employees not to put things in email so he could withhold transparency from the American public at a time when we should have had optimal transparency.
Yeah.
So, Rand has always been focused on whether or not we were funding gain of function research. He would say in committee hearings, well, it wasn't gain of function research, it was something else. And I think with what Tulsi released, there's more than enough evidence to prove that Dr. Fauci lied about that. So hopefully there'll be another criminal referral in addition to ours in the House from the Senate with respect to Dr. Fauci. And surely to goodness, this new and improved Department of Justice will do the right thing. No one has ever been held accountable for COVID. I mean, you just look at public education. Whether you like public education or not, we suffered because of the requirements by Dr. Fauci and recommendations by Dr. Fauci that kids shouldn't go to school, even though there was never evidence young people were dying of COVID or suffering any health consequences from COVID. So our kids went, and they're behind today. Doesn't matter if they're a senior or if they're in seventh grade. They missed a whole year of public education, and then you saw what it did to our national debt with the ridiculous reaction by Congress, and that's a lot of Republicans' fault, on PPP loan programs and stimulus by the Democrats, and I mean that just ran our debt up even more, all because of one man who never was truthful about the fact that COVID started in a lab that he was funding in China on a mad science project.
What is the route? And you're the best in the business at this. You've been there with Hunter Biden. What is the route to actually prosecute? Are we just going to test the legal theories in court over this pardon?
Well, look, we brought in all the people in the Biden administration that had anything to do with the pardon process.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people get caught up over the auto pen. Don't even worry about the auto pen. Don't even worry, Benny, that they used the auto pen to sign it, because I don't know that that's a winning case in court. What's a winning case in court is the fact that we brought all these people in, the chiefs of staff for Jill Biden, the chiefs of staff for Joe Biden, all the administrative assistants. No one ever could testify under oath that Joe Biden had a conversation with them about pardoning anybody. We subpoenaed all the emails. We subpoenaed the daily calendar of Joe Biden. There was never a meeting about pardon. There was never any discussion. And the president has the authority to pardon. And there's no limits on that authority, which I think there should be. I think a lot of presidents have abused the pardon process. I'm not happy with a few of the Trump pardons. But at the end of the day, the president has the constitutional authority to do that. Now, whether or not you can use the auto pen, I don't even want to get in that discussion. But we've done all the hours and hours of depositions to prove Joe Biden, as president of the United States, did not authorize those pardons. And that should be enough evidence in court to sustain an executive order by President Trump to declare all those pardons null and void.
And that would be how you'd begin prosecutions against a
because
number.
If he did it by executive order, somebody's going to file a suit. Somebody's going to file a suit saying, no, that's not constitutional because the president has the authority to do it. And Joe Biden did it. But there's no evidence he did it. His staff did it. The Constitution does not say the chief of staff for the first lady can pardon people. It does not say the first lady can pardon people. It doesn't say Hunter Biden can pardon people or Ron Klain or anyone else on Joe Biden's staff. They don't have the authority to pardon people. Only the president. And there's no evidence that Joe Biden ever authorized a single pardon. Forget about the auto pen. The evidence is he was never the one to say, yes, I've reviewed the documentation, I've looked at the evidence, and this person deserves a pardon.
I never regret asking you this question. So here we go. What happens next? I know that you sort of have the nexus, the lightning in a bottle in the oversight committee, and you've been trying to deliver. Now you have a Department of Justice that's finally working with you. Where should we be focusing now when it comes to cleaning up the federal government? What's next?
we should be focusing on where we should always be focusing on the Oversight Committee: waste, fraud, and abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much fraud in just the Medicare and Medicaid programs. And a lot of people that don't know much about Medicare and Medicaid, you know, young people like you, Benny, you're not on Medicaid, obviously, and you're not old enough to get on Medicare. You probably don't think a lot about it. But I will tell you, it is being raped by fraudsters. And it's not just Somali fraudsters. It's not just the Sudanese fraudsters. It's being raped by a lot of medical providers. Some of them are credible medical providers that are overbilling. Some of them are fly-by-nights, like what you've seen in Minneapolis, that are 100% American. They're whiter than I am. So it's not a racial thing. We have a system where the federal government, especially with Medicaid, the federal government provides all this federal money for Medicaid, but they send it to the states to administer. And I believe in a lot of the states, especially the Democrat states, they have the attitude, well, this is federal money. It's not our money. We, you know, if some of it's lost to fraud, then these Democrat governors, you know, they don't care. Well, the taxpayers care. And you know, it does no good to identify fraud and then nobody go to jail. But we've seen about 200 people go to jail over Medicare and Medicaid fraud, thanks to Vice President Vance and thanks to Todd Blanche's leadership at the Department of Justice. And I think we're going to see a whole lot more. And if people start going to jail, then I think the fraud will I don't want to say it'll stop, but it'll slow down significantly.
They just went and retrieved some scumbag from Turkey who had billions of dollars in fraud and brought him back in shackles. And so that's that's a good
and
sign.
You know, that's great. That's great. We'll never get that money back because once it goes to a foreign country, you can forget about it. But the guy's in custody, and I'm happy about that.
Just like USAID, Congressman. Just like you, Mr. Chairman. Just like USAID. What a mess. People should go to prison for that one too. Okay. Funny how libs are broke and communists are losing all across the world now that USAID is shut down. It's incredible pattern recognition.
It is.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Everybody follow Chairman Jamie Comer. And what we hope for better things for the great state of Kentucky. We're really excited to see what happens when there's no Tillis or Cassidy or Cornyn or McConnell in the Senate. And we think it's going to be like a very, very different vibe. So we're hoping for the best there. Godspeed, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Benny. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have some massive breaking news out of the Supreme Court. I cannot wait to speak with Senator Mike Lee about this. Two huge rulings that just came down very quickly here. Like massive rulings about the future of your country. Very quickly here, our partners at American Financing can make sure that you are financially set for the future. Maybe these Supreme Court rulings will help, and they will actually help America moving forward into a better and more golden age. But you can't do that in debt slavery. Get out of high-interest credit card debt with American Financing today. Call American Financing at 888-528-1219. That's 888-528-1219, americanfinancing.net/Benny. A real strategy to get free from debt slavery. Do it today. Get a load of this. Here's the massive breaking. Come on, Klein. We got to do the breaking news stinger. Let's go! Are we blowing up Iran's nuclear facility in that? Was that what that was? Okay, great. I love that. I love it. Here we go. Massive 6-3 decision. The United States Supreme Court has sided with Trump. Some migrants that show up at the border have not arrived in the United States and do not automatically qualify for asylum and can be turned away. Boom. 6-3 decision. Imagine the three voting for this. We got another one. I don't know, Klein, you got this one? Here we go. Supreme Court allows Trump administration to end protected status for Syrian and Haitian migrants. Supreme Court on Thursday cleared the way for the Trump administration to terminate TPS, temporary protected status, for hundreds of thousands of migrants. You ever heard of this? You ever heard of this? Senator Lee is joining the show. He's going to join the show right now. He's so good at language. He says things that are words that mean things in English. Temporary protected status means temporary. It means it's not forever. And so the Supreme Court, again, in a 6-3 decision, how are these 6-3, man? Just in case you wonder if your vote matters or not. The only reason these are not 5-4 losses is because of your vote and because of our movement. Joining us now, a man who continues to fight for your vote, the great Senator Mike Lee of Utah. Let's go. We're excited. Good news out of the Supreme Court. Bad news out of the Senate. No Save America Act, but at least things seem to be headed in the right direction, Senator.
Yes. Look, I'm really happy about the Supreme Court's rulings. This is what happens when you put people on the court who are there to interpret the law based on what the law says, rather than on the basis of what social scientists want or what leftist professors are advocating for. They're interpreting the law, and they interpreted the law correctly in both of these cases. They got it right, and I think that'll help.
So what you're telling me is that that's what judges should do. They shouldn't be going off of just vibes and their NPR podcast that they listen to, like Judge Sprinkle Sparkle, I think is actually her given name. Judge Sprinkle Sparkle. Judge Sparkle.
But, I mean, there are a lot of people with common names among jurists. I'm not aware of any other Judge Sparkle, any other judge's name Sparkle. So it's unique. At least you won't be confused. Having a common name like Mike, it was not uncommon to have 3, 4, 5 other guys in each class in elementary school with the same name. But I bet she didn't have that problem. So that's good.
So
but look, the word temporary does mean temporary. And the concept of asylum, in the other case you mentioned, is itself permissive. Asylum has never been a mandatory issue. It is a permissive issue. In other words, the U.S. government may allow such persons in as they deem eligible for asylum. That doesn't mean they have to take anyone and everyone who comes in under any circumstance.
So you keep, I think it's just like the mandate from heaven that you have. Because you've been telling us for what feels like years now about the Save America Act. And with every passing week, Senator, a new man-made horror beyond comprehension happens that proves that the Save America Act must be passed, whether it's the LA mayor's race, whether it's the communists that won in New York, whether it's Judge Sparkle saying that the federal government doesn't have the right to check Social Security numbers. All of this, of course, all of this madness would be done away with if we had the Save America Act. And so the case continues to build and the losses continue to rack up on behalf of those who wish to vote against it or say for some reason that third world Marxists should be invading our country and rigging our election.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Recent conversations with my wife, Sharon, who Sharon pointed out to me, if somebody had told you years ago that you were pushing this in light of legal developments and other things that have happened in recent years, that it would become necessary to push a bill saying we're going to require that people establish their citizenship at the time of voter registration. And we're going to make sure that they produce an ID to show who they are when voting in a federal election. Nobody would have predicted that that would become controversial, that this would become something, especially while 3 out of 4 Americans, Democrat and Republican voters alike, the ratio is higher among Republican voters only, but it's about 3 out of every 4 American voters, regardless of political party, support this. And that the Senate would seem to be dragging its feet, looking for excuses not to deal with it. Meanwhile, President Trump is doing his best to try to make our elections as secure as he possibly can by, among other things, using existing resources like the SAVE database operated under existing law within the Department of Homeland Security. This allows for states that are willing to and interested in cross-checking their voter registration rolls against this federal database that identifies citizens as either citizens or non-citizens. It allows states a mechanism by which they can clean out their voter registration files, potentially purging those who shouldn't be on there. Judge Sparkle did something interesting. You look at the remedy that she achieved, even if you accept her conclusion, her foaming at the mouth, parade of horribles, sort of sky is falling apocalyptic predictions about the use of social security numbers, not for public release, but for private review for this limited purpose. If that's what she were really concerned about, Benny, what you would think is that she would say, okay, there need to be adequate procedures to make sure you're not accidentally removing non-citizens, actual citizens from the voter registration files, or adequate procedures to make sure that no one's privacy is invaded through the leaking of social security numbers. But no, that's not what she did. She said, you got to shut down the whole thing. Why? Why does the left so badly not only not want there to be a requirement in federal law that you prove your citizenship and prove who you are the day you vote, but they're not even willing to run the risk of a state going and cross-checking its voter registration rolls against this federal database. That's spooky. And as you point out, it's another piece of evidence for why we need the Save America Act.
Why is Judge Sparkle allowed? I guess maybe would be the question. You're a big constitutional scholar. I think you could say you probably know the constitutions and the foundations of this country better than any senator that's walking the halls today, and or rolling through the halls as they tend to do. We demand that our chief executive be a natural-born American citizen.
Yes.
Yet somebody who just got here can overrule the will of the 80 million people that voted for this natural-born citizen and can lord over all of those Americans and steal their mandate and their will. And that doesn't seem like a sustainable system,
no,
Senator.
No, it's not sustainable. And I've proposed changes in the law to help prevent this sort of thing from happening. Because, Benny, a lot of times, rulings like this one from Judge Sparkle end up being overturned on appeal. That takes time. When they get an initial motion, sometimes it's an emergency motion. As a protective matter, they'll issue an injunction. And then there will be months of additional litigation to figure out whether a longer-term injunction will kick in. And then that takes a while before you can appeal it. So it's sort of defeat by denial. Defeat and denial by delay. The longer they can delay the ultimate correction of any error, the more that the sitting president of the United States is unable to do his job. Yes. It's one of the reasons why I've introduced legislation that would say that anytime you've got a federal judge acting like this, being asked to issue an injunction with nationwide effect as to a core policy decision made by the president of the United States, that sort of action ought to go before a 3-judge district court panel with an automatic direct right of appeal to the Supreme Court of the United States so that we can have clarity and so that you don't have this defeat and denial by delay phenomenon that has become far too common. Yeah, that would be a perfect remedy, but that's been what they've been using in order to stop this and in order to stop primarily the demographic change that's happening in this country at quick pace. This is what the vast majority of the injunctions are in order to ensure that the elections are as unsecure as possible and that they can keep as many criminal aliens here as possible that they brought into our nation en masse. Again, Save America Act fixes this, and you were there with President Trump yesterday. Well done during that short press conference. I saw Trump bringing out shoulder to shoulder you and Senator Scott, I think it was, right? Yeah. Scott were there as eye candy, really. I mean,
that's right. I thought it was great. I was like, well done, Trump. Like, way to go. These are your dogs, you know? These are your boys. These are your ride or dies right here.
Please, just a little something for the ladies, I guess. You know?
That's right. And then a very, very reluctant and uncomfortable looking Senator Thune. And so maybe you could tell us what happened in those meetings. There's a bunch of people saying a bunch of different things about what went down yesterday. What happened?
Look, the most critical, the most important element of that was when President Trump encapsulated it like this. He said, look, we need the Save America Act. We've got people who are trying to undermine the integrity of our elections. We've got serious flaws in our election security system. And those need to be repaired. The Save America Act would do that. This is the issue of our time. It needs to be remedied by us. And yes, I understand that under your existing practices, your existing treatment of what I refer to as the zombie filibuster, which is the filibuster without the filibuster. The filibuster without a speech is not a filibuster, but it's what we've adopted. So he said, in order to get the Save America Act passed and other things that that we need to pass, but as to which we don't currently have 60 votes, you can do it one of two ways. He said you could do it through the talking filibuster. If you make them speak, make them hold the floor, that's one way you can win it. He said, I'd actually prefer that you just nuke the filibuster. I think you would find that your ability to do more things would be greater with that. And I know that there are concerns there, but he said, you know, the Democrats are going to do that. The next time the circumstances align where it's in their interest to do it, where they hold the House, the Senate, and the White House, they're going to nuke the filibuster. They're going to add at least 2 reliably blue states, and they're going to make other changes to the law, including packing the Supreme Court, that will make it so that they remain in control for perhaps decades. So we said, I think you'd be a lot happier if you just nuked the filibuster. But I don't care as much which way you get there. You just need to get this passed. You know, that was an important message. I'm glad that he left us with that.
And what was the response? I mean, again, we have here the president obviously pulling. It's a great clip. He's pulling you and Senator Scott along with him. You can see it. He's like, "Get out of here! Get out of here, guys!" And there you go. There it is. It's such a great message. It's such a great message to the base. The message to the base is like these two champions on the Save America Act. Like, I see them, I promote them. I'm like standing with them. It was a genius move by the president. And it was not missed by us when we covered this. What was the reflection from your Senate colleagues on President Trump saying this has to be passed?
You know, there wasn't much of a reaction, not much of a reflection within the conference at the time he said that. We had that part of the discussion toward the end of the meeting, shortly before we walked out. But after the meeting, you continue to have the same basic reaction, which is an assumption on the part of some, then shared with the public, that we can't do this, that it won't work, and that it's just utterly implausible. And yet I have yet to hear an explanation. Not only do I have yet to hear a legitimate argument against the Save America Act itself, I also have yet to hear, Benny, a persuasive argument as to why the talking filibuster couldn't work and shouldn't be deployed here. The arguments that they raise against it are red herrings. They're arguments that ignore history, that ignore logic, that ignore human nature, that ignore the fact that this is how the Senate has functioned for most of its existence. Not only prior to 1917, when the cloture rule was first adopted, but really for most of the Senate's existence until maybe, I don't know, the last 20, 25, 30 years. That's what the filibuster was. It was a species of talking filibuster. That's all we have to do is go back to that. Our rules were built for that. Our system was designed to handle it. And in fact, it doesn't work well without it.
So when there is a Senate, which there will be a Senate without a Cassidy, Cornyn, McConnell, Tillis in a few months, and hopefully Republicans will still be in control. The prediction markets say that Republicans will keep control of the Senate. We'll see. I hope so. Does that change anything here, Senator?
It could. And look, let's all hope and pray, Benny, that it does turn out that we hold both majorities following the midterm elections this fall. If we do still hold both of them, then I am guardedly optimistic about what that signals for our ability to do things like the talking filibuster, to pass measures like the Save America Act. I think that will be encouraging if that happens. That is a big if, and this is another thing the president covered with us yesterday, and I think he's absolutely right to raise it. He said, we've got to win these midterms in November. To win them, we need our voters to show up, to feel the need to show up, the desire to show up. Like their
Yes.
vote matters, like it makes a difference. And like it makes a difference moving forward to have Republican majorities. We need that. And in order for them to feel that, we need to pass the Save America Act, both for the perception and how that will affect our voters, but also to protect the integrity, the sanctity of our elections themselves. We need both. So why not do it now? We could do it now. It's not even that hard. There doesn't have to be a vote that says we're going to invoke the talking filibuster. It's just a matter of the majority leader deciding what we're going to turn to next and in what order we're going to proceed and how aggressively to enforce different rules and norms within the Senate. That would do it. And I believe that when you require those who want to filibuster a bill to actually stand, hold the floor, and talk, it has an effect of bringing them more into harmony with where national sentiment is. Because when you have to do that with a bill as popular as the Save America Act is, over time, those filibustering the bill will find that their arguments, and they personally, are becoming less popular. The legislation, insofar as they can't identify legitimate arguments against it, which they can't. I've heard them for weeks on end when they debate this. They're terrible arguments. This would work, but it requires courage, legislative courage, and it requires patience and a willingness to work harder than we've been accustomed to working. The Senate schedule is part of the problem. The truncated legislative work week, interspersed with a lot of lengthy recesses, will never be conducive to actually doing what we need to do in the Senate.
Yeah, please enjoy your vacation for the rest of the summer. You know, it's not like there's other things to do. You know, like have a great time. I think you're looking down the barrel of weeks of vacation starting today, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem. Now, look, I'm not a believer that we always need to be passing more legislation. A lot of federal legislation is not worth passing. It's not worth having. We'd be better off with fewer federal laws rather than more. But there are some areas where circumstances in the law, changes within our country, problems that we are confronting are knocking on the door. They do require a federal solution because this can have only a federal solution. It's existing federal law under the 1993 National Voter Registration Act that has interpreted more recently by the Supreme Court has created this problem where the states are in many instances prohibited from verifying citizenship at the time of voter registration. That's why we have to act. When there's work like that that has to be done, it can be done only by Congress. It is a dereliction of duty for us to recess as often and for as long a time as we do.
Yes. Very quickly here, there's been reports that multiple senators are simply doing this as a blood grudge against the president. And they know that this is something that would make the president very popular and would help him electorally and help MAGA electorally. And they're just doing it out of spite. Is that true?
I don't know. It's very difficult to read into somebody else's mind to speak for them what their subjective motives are. That said, there is at least anecdotal evidence that could support that there's some of that at play. We've got a couple of senators who have manifested a lot of deeply rooted resentment against the president. And to whatever degree that comes into play, I think that's unfortunate. I think it's wrong. Because, look, regardless of how they feel about the president or why they feel that way, the American people shouldn't be punished by that. The American people shouldn't be deprived of safe, fair, legitimate elections as a result of a disagreement that they've got with the person who's running a coordinate branch of government. By the way, my friend Bernie Moreno, the good Bernie, you know, there are two Bernies in the Senate. I referred to Bernie Moreno last night as one of the Bernie bros, and he got a good chuckle out of that. Bernie was born in Colombia, moved to the United States as a young child. He went down to Colombia.
He was on yesterday. He was on yesterday talking about this. This is amazing.
So he explained what happens down there, what they do. It really is amazing. These guys have an election security system that is fantastic. And the fact that we are light years behind of them, they're light years ahead of us is sad. We ought to be able to do what they do, and there's no reason why we can't.
Final question here, because I think that it's like a perfect segue into the online conversation about USAID. and what that organization truly was. I know that you speak. Am I correct that you speak Spanish? That you speak fluent Spanish? You spent some considerable time. You spent considerable time in Central America, right?
Yeah, I was a missionary in the lower Rio Grande Valley on the Texas side. Nobody spoke Spanish in that era. We're talking about down in the McAllen, Texas area. So I had to learn Spanish. It was sink or swim.
So my question is, I hear a lot of people, a lot of little birdies, chirp at me about what's going on. They're not done with USAID. There's going to be some major reveals about what was actually happening inside of that organization. They're going to be devastating and potentially criminal. As somebody who's so good at rooting out fraud and abuse in government, can you please encapsulate what was USAID? Why are the Democrats bankrupt now? The DNC is $3 million in debt. Why is the right winning in now what is a landslide throughout Central America after the defunding of USAID? Is there a connection there, Senator?
Yeah, there may well be. I mean, first of all, let's remember, Benny, that Marxism is flawed, and any system rooted in it, whether operating under the auspices of socialism, of communism, whether it's calling itself fascism or any of the other Marxist flavors, it doesn't work. And whenever it's used, it fails. And you can deceive some of the people some of the time. You can't deceive most of the people most of the time. And eventually it catches up with you. Now, as to the connection between the demise of USAID funds, their non-availability, and the election of governments that no longer embrace Marxism, let me just say this. Starting about 10 years ago, about 10 or 11 years ago was when I first started hearing about a potential connection between USAID funds and election outcomes in various countries throughout Central, South America, Europe, and elsewhere, tilting sharply to the left. The way it happened was a handful of people would come in and ask for a meeting with me. Many of them were government officials, members of elected lawmakers from various, usually smaller countries, Europe, Central America, South America, wherever, who started suggesting, well, I can't prove it completely. I have it on somewhat good authority that USAID funds are routinely being funneled through various channels and directed into funds that themselves will facilitate left-wing candidates. And that those are then commingled with George Soros money and other, radical leftist donor money in order to springboard these leftist candidates around the world, especially in smaller countries where American dollars can go a long way toward tilting the outcome. And that's very often how more conservative, more liberty-minded governments are losing to Marxist-inspired candidates and governments. And so that was a source of great frustration. I looked into it. In some circumstances, there appeared to be real credibility to it. And that's why I started raising red flags about USAID about a decade ago. When the funding was finally withdrawn in the last year or so, I thought, okay, we will see now what impact that might make. I can say this, the anecdotal evidence since then suggests that there may well have been a stunning connection between USAID funding and the election of left-wing governments around the world, especially in smaller countries.
And terrorism. And drug smuggling. And it's
that too. Look, when the U.S. government writes blank checks, whether at home or abroad, it should shock no one that those things will be subject to waste, fraud, and abuse. And it should shock no one that those funds will eventually be used to help advocate for Marxism in one form or another at home and abroad.
Yeah, I mean, it really does. Beg the question. The Marxist sweep yesterday in New York, every single one of those Marxists were either foreign born or their parents were foreign born, and they came here with such a deep understanding of American funding systems. And it's like, well, this is the farm team, obviously. This is what Barack Obama's talking about with his Obama Foundation. This is what they're creating. It's pretty obvious to see. Like, is there enough time to reverse it? I'm not sure. But the man to reverse it would be Mike Lee in the Senate, a champion for freedom, the guy who's been just constantly fighting like a gorilla, like an animal for the Save America Act, and he's gonna get it. I mean, you have the mandate from heaven. I say, Mike. That's what I say. You got the mandate from heaven, man. You know, every live long day, you're proven more right here. So,
or at least a mandate from Benny. Separate far from whether it's from heaven. A mandate from Benny. That matters too.
Dangerous. Well, the Benny Brigade is behind you. The Benny Brigade is behind you, and look at that. So close to 700,000 for Mike Lee. Yeah, everybody go in and just follow Mike Lee right now at base Mike Lee, and let's get him to 700,000 right now. Today, today, we're going to do it. 700,000, and there's going to be I know that Mike Lee is going to do something special when he hits that number. So, thank you so much, Senator. Godspeed. Enjoy your vacation.
Thank you. It's good to talk to you, Benny. Thanks for all you do.
All right. God bless you, man. Patriot Mobile. We called a Patriot right there. We called a couple of Patriots. Great show. Patriot Mobile, our dear friends, people who keep us locked and connected. We're going to be doing a little bit of travel here and there. And, well, some of it is going to be Patriot Mobile inspired. We just want to say that Patriot Mobile Wi-Fi hotspots, man, they're amazing. If you were traveling in places that were hard to reach, like we were in Montana, woo, it's a lifesaver, honestly. Patriot Mobile can get you connected with the only Christian conservative wireless provider right now. Do it. You can keep your phone, you can keep your number, you can keep everything. It's easy. Happen right away. Or you can change everything and upgrade. Either way, the only conservative Christian wireless provider in America protecting free speech. Go to patriotmobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT for the promo code Benny for a free month of service. patriotmobile.com/Benny or call 972-PATRIOT today. I don't know if I'm ready to call two little patriots in. We got special guests here that are not in the script, but that are my daughters who have been making their 4th of July special bracelets, and they wanted to show you live today. So here we go. This is Juliet and Eloise. My wife texted me during the show and said that Juliet and Eloise wanted to show you their special bracelets that they made. So here they are for the 4th of July. Very nice. Can we get a round of applause? Everyone's cheering for you. Everyone's cheering for you. There you go. So these are these are 4th of July dresses.
Daddy, I made a ring.
You made a ring? Oh, that's beautiful.
They're 4th of July dresses.
Here they are. Do you have any?
You have a hat.
Do you have anything nice you'd like to say for the 4th of July?
We're going to Miami, and we're gonna go on the water slide, and we are gonna get coconut drinks and lots of fruit, and we're gonna go in the pool.
That is gonna be so fun.
Last year we went to the Trump property in Miami for the 4th of July. They do a special fireworks show. So we got invited back this year, and I think that's where we're going to go. So we're very excited about it. And you'll see updates from us. No better place to spend the 4th of July. Oh, hey, babe. You have anything you want to say?
Two.
Oh, okay.
That's being 3. You'd love the comment section. Say happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July.
Okay, those are beautiful. Can Daddy get one?
We made you one.
Oh, can you make one for me?
Yeah.
Thank you, sweeties.
All right, tell everybody bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Daddy.
That's amazing. I'll see you in a minute, baby. It's a family show. It's a family show. We talk about this constantly, that, oh, they want bracelets. Okay. Well, maybe we'll make the bracelets available on BennyJohnson.com. And we'll put them up on the site. Okay. Bracelets in the Benny store. That's the motivation. That's it. That's the motivation. That's why we keep fighting. That's why we have to put our heads down, stiff upper lip, chip on the shoulder, and that's what we're fighting for. That's it. I want to be able to provide not just the ability to go watch the fireworks in Miami for my kids, because all that stuff, that's just the fringe benefits. I want to provide a stable, safe, and secure society and nation for them, and that's like the inheritance I want to give to them. The Proverbs say that a blessed and righteous generation leaves an inheritance for their children's children. That inheritance is the nation. And so that's what I want to build. For my kids, of course, but then also for your kids, your grandkids. That's what we're all doing together here. So when my wife texted me and said they have 4th of July bracelets, I said, bring them on the show. I'm sure people want them. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, what a fun show. Big breaking news. So we're gonna get to that. I did want to say that we have our partner here with Advantage Gold. We talk about them a lot. Obviously, sort of blending into with my children. Make sure that you are investing in things that withstand the test of time. Buying precious metals, something you can pass on to your children. And you can do it smartly, and you can leave it to them as a physical asset of value. And so Advantage Gold is who I trust for that. They've been our partners for a long time. We're working even more with them today, now more than ever. I just like the diversification. Constantly thinking about what are we leaving to our kids. I trust Advantage Gold. They're America's top-rated precious metals company for the people who are precious in your life. Text Benny to 85545. Text Benny to 85545. No cost, no obligation, no pressure. And you can start investing in things that actually withstand the test of time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see here. Exciting time, a great show, and a bunch of breaking news that we need to get to. So, including saving our elections. Will the Supreme Court bar counting mail-in ballots after Election Day? Now, we didn't get that ruling. Too bad. That's something that is before the Supreme Court right now. But I'd love to get that ruling. Here's what the prediction markets say. The prediction markets say that they might. Let's see, I'm loading it right now. Are we loading? No? Here we go. 79% chance. Now that would be awesome. There's something to leave you with. It's like a little with uplifting. If you stopped the delivery of fraudulent mail-in ballots and you stopped the counting of mail-in ballots after Election Day, these are ballots that arrive after Election Day. Remember, in California, you could just squiggle the date on there. It can arrive at any time. Well, you'd get rid of so much fraud in our nation. And then you pass the Save America Act, and it's game over for the fraudsters. So let's do that. Good vision casting here, ladies and gentlemen, with our verse of the day, Matthew 10:16. I am sending you out like sheep among the wolves. Therefore, be shrewd as snakes and innocent as doves. Woo! What a rich and deep verse that is. Be shrewd as snakes and innocent as doves. I don't really know. I don't really know how to process this one, except for this. They're as shrewd as a snake. That's what we're being commanded to do by Christ, our Lord and Savior, who's sending us out. It says, don't be rolled over. I got into a little Twitter debate yesterday. The pastor that I think is really cool, his name's Josh Howerton. And he wasn't debating me, but we were like going back and forth a little bit about verses of the Bible, and how Christian pastors like try and knit together this fabric of open borders and try and make like open borders a Christian thing. It's not. It's not a Christian thing. And it is actually an immorality. And there's a lot of ways to build that argument. But here's one. Be as shrewd as snakes. Don't roll over. Don't be a wuss. Don't let people take advantage of you. Don't be somebody who like can just be trifled with. The Christian church has been so weak in the past and has become like fat and lazy and soft. And that is not what built Western civilization. It was the strong man and the Christian man that did that. The shrewd man. And we should be innocent of sin. We should be innocent as doves. We should wish to have purity of heart. And so head out, ladies and gentlemen, with me in order to refound this nation. I think that's what's happening right now. A refoundation of America. It's very exciting. A lot of exciting things in the future lined up. Thank you for being here in community with us. We march together on to victory that is assured. It's your boy Benny. See ya.
Where the truth gon' be, faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be, faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be, faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.